Well, to that point, Barbara, is the president himself sending rather mixed messages on Iran, perhaps deliberately?
Yes and yes. He has been saying over the past 10 days, and I looked at everything he said over the past 10 days, he alternates almost regularly between threats and invitations to dialogue. And he's also said we like to keep the Iranians guessing. Those are my words, not his, but essentially he's saying he wants to not let the Iranians know exactly what's happening here. And I think that has probably worked. I mean, that's been his style. He's sort of blustery, but then he also is flattering, and that's the way he tries to get some progress on foreign policy. But with Iran, of course, it's a difficult country. It's in a very volatile region, and so the outcome of his approach is perhaps a bit more concerning.
Barbara Platt-Usher, thank you. Well, for more on that Iran briefing on Capitol Hill, I spoke earlier with Susan Wild, a Democrat from Pennsylvania who's on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congresswoman Wild, what did the U.S. Secretary of State tell you about the threat from Iran?
Well, we just had a confidential briefing. I did not find it to be any more illuminating, frankly, than what I've read in news accounts. But the administration and the Secretary of State seem to feel that there is still an ongoing threat from Iran that has accelerated. There was some discussion about whether it's decreased just a little bit in recent days.
But after these days of really bellicose rhetoric from both the US and Iran, how concerned are you personally about the tensions?
I'm very concerned. I don't like aggressive rhetoric. I think that that diplomacy and, more important in this case, careful military strategy is very, very important. And I don't think that rhetoric serves any good purpose at all.
The US has withdrawn from the Iran nuclear deal. Now it's pursuing this campaign of maximum pressure on Iran. Could that work in bringing Tehran to the negotiating table?
I don't know that Iran will come to the negotiating table, but I will tell you that I don't think that it's wrong for the administration to act in a way where the commander-in-chief has the right and the ability and should use all of the tools in his toolbox, which include military readiness. So I don't have a disagreement with that. But I'm concerned about whether there is strategy to back that up, and I really don't like the use of aggressive rhetoric.
Now that there is a US aircraft carrier in the region, is there a possibility of an accidental military confrontation between the US and Iran?
Well, I certainly hope not. I believe and I hope that our military is much more prepared than to do anything of an unintended nature.
And if Iran actually goes so far as to pull out of the nuclear deal itself, what would the consequences be there?
Well, I don't know what the consequences would be at this point. I think that it's very important that Congress remain fully briefed by the administration at all times of all developments in and around Iran, so that we know what's going on, so that if some kind of action needs to be taken, that we are in a position to be, in a very knowledgeable kind of way, vote on whether to authorize any kind of action.
Congresswoman Susan Wild, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, the friction between Congress